Hey everyone, TexPool here. I'm back! And today I'm joined by my bestie, White Cat.
Hey!
Me and White Cat, we were friends for over a decade by now, and have collaborated on various stuff a lot, and several of my recent drawings were inspired by prompts provided by her, and I thought it'd only be fair if we were to collaborate here as well.
After all, one of the things we enjoy doing together is discussing various pop culture related stuff. And not only that, and sometimes either of us makes some interesting points, so we thought it would be interesting to see how well this translates into YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Certainly. We're here to talk about Scooby Doo and Kiss while celebrating the 10th anniversary of Scooby Doo and Kiss Rock and Roll Mystery.
That's right, Cat. The movie that introduced both of us to Kiss and made us huge fans in the process. Gotta confess, I really had little to no exposure to this band before that. I knew a band named Kiss existed, I knew they wore face paint and black leathery costumes, but I never heard a single song of theirs, except for their biggest hit. But I had no idea it was their song when I first heard it. I think I thought it was a Metallica song or something, because that's what my sister was listening to the most at the time.
Well, at least Metallica is awesome. But yeah, it was kind of the same for me. In fact, I heard the chorus part of I Was Made for Loving You in that medley in Moulin Rouge first. You know, the Elephant Love medley. And then recognized it when my aunt played it one time when she was cleaning, so I listened to it a few times since. But my first genuine exposure, right before I became a big fan of Kiss, was actually when I saw a video of a YouTuber called Rob the Wonderful, where he talked about the Scooby Doo crossover with Kiss. You guys should check him out, by the way. He's a very underrated YouTuber. I personally discovered a lot of underrated stuff thanks to this guy. But since I saw that video, I looked up some clips from the said movie, then the official video of the pre-mentioned biggest hit. I even bumped into the video by Fine Brothers where kids react to the band, and where I discovered even more Kiss songs, some of which became my favorites, by the way. And since then, I've been a big fan of these guys.
You even got to see them live, right?
Oh, yes, I did. In summer of 2022, they actually came to Croatia to perform during their final tour, and it was my chance to see them live. And I went to their concert with my parents, and we all had a blast. Like, it was a phenomenal concert, and we were pretty much under the impression from the concert for a week. Like, it was fantastic.
Say that again?
It's fantastic.
Yes, it is.
That's so cool. Honestly, I don't think I truly became a fan until, like, early 2023, when I stumbled upon this movie called Spinning Gold. It's a biopic about the guy who ran Casablanca Records, the label that signed acts like Donna Summer, The Village People, and, you get it, Kiss. It's such an obscure movie, I think it deserves a video of its own, so I'll only say that the way this movie depicted Kiss felt so insulting to me that I felt the need to learn more about the band so I could tell where the movie lied. But I couldn't find anything interesting on Wikipedia, plus none of the music-themed YouTube channels I was subscribed to at the time had much to say about Kiss. So I had to make my own research. I started listening to nearly all of their songs, watched their interviews, recording of live performances, read the memoirs of all original members, until at one point I realized, oh my god, I love these guys! But yeah, now Scooby Doo, on the other hand, is a franchise we both were familiar with as kids. I remember seeing a couple of classic Scooby Doo episodes on TV, but my biggest exposure was Scooby Doo Monsters Unleashed. I had both the game and the movie, and I thought both were great back then. I don't think so anymore. I never watched the first live-action Scooby Doo movie, and honestly, I don't really intend to.
Not that you're missing out on much, though. Except for Doug Walker's joke on the movie for being a failure on all accounts. Well, my first exposure to Scooby Doo was actually a clip from the original series that was recorded with another show that ran on Cartoon Network at the time called Big Bag, which is actually how I ended up recognizing it at my grandma's and wanting to watch more of it. But all my grandma saw was, a bunch of characters fighting against monsters and being like, oh god, you're looking at the ugly monsters? What is this? She just didn't know what the show even was to begin with, and she kind of thought it was a stupid thing, because ugly looking monsters, and then Mom explained it to her. But even then, I wasn't really sure if I can watch it, or if she's just gonna grouch about it if she catches me watching the show, so every time it would be on, I would either have to watch it in secret, or just switch to something else when she was present. If you're gonna ask me, when I became a passionate fan of Scooby-Doo, I don't entirely know for sure. I would assume the mid-2000s, specifically when What's New Scooby-Doo version was on TV and it was a big thing. And also at the time of Scooby-Doo Pirates Ahoy. Probably the first animated Scooby-Doo movie I've witnessed. And I love it, by the way. Plus the fact that this was a time when the Pirates craze was at its highest, because Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Pirates Ahoy was also the first animated Scooby-Doo movie I ever saw. Back in 2006, I think, my older sister actually bought me a subscription to a Scooby-Doo magazine. Each issue was basically an episode of a classic show, but with an international twist, as the gang traveled across the globe and each monster they faced was connected to the country they visited. A mummy in Egypt, Chupacabra in Mexico, Nessie in Scotland, etc., etc. And each issue came with a piece of a board game, specifically characters figurines. And around the time we ultimately cancelled that subscription due to financial issues, I already had the whole gang and a vampire. Sadly, I no longer have neither the magazines nor the board game. The only remnant of this I still have is a recipe book. But after that, my deep dive into Scooby-Doo kinda stalled. I guess it's because I was interested in other things at the time, and it wasn't really until you recommended me to check a select list of Scooby-Doo movies that I got into it again. And I've been a big fan ever since.
Now you reminded me, I actually have a magazine that was my exposure to Scooby-Doo around the same time, much like the Pirates Ahoy movie. The magazine was called Boomerang, and according to Google, it only existed in Croatia and Serbia. I don't know how that's possible, but it is what it is. Here's a picture. Just to show you what I'm talking about. And yeah, based on the cover, it came out around the same time as the second Pirates of the Caribbean movie. This is one of those magazines for kids that were chock full of content. From drawings kids would send in, some interesting facts on nature, articles on movies that were out at the time, in this case Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest, the toy ads, articles on video games that were coming out and were treated like a big deal, and comics that would be right in the middle of the magazine itself. The comics were sometimes comics I only discovered there, I've never heard of them before. But then other times they would be based on something I was already familiar with, like, the cartoons such as the Jetsons and the Flintstones, and of course Scooby-Doo. This is where, along with the movie at the time, my journey to becoming a big fan of the franchise started growing. And considering this in particular was a double issue of the magazine, that meant that there was 2 Scooby-Doo comics in there, which helped a lot too.
Back to Rock and Roll Mystery. What can we say about this film? It's really more of a tribute to Kiss rather than a crossover when you think about it. There's so many references to album covers, songs that aren't played in the movies, the crazy variety of Kiss merch you bet totally exists in real life. While the movie's plot is very reminiscent of Kiss's infamous acting debut, Kiss Meets Phantom of the Park, which, believe it or not, was actually made by Hannah Barbera.
For real?
Yep.
Oh wow.
Plus there's a sentence from Ace's memoirs.
Oh yeah, because Ace is such a product of a majestic act. And Hannah Barbera cannot be expected to do anything good. Johnny Quest, Space Ghost, Pirates of Darkwater, Tom and Jerry, anyone?
Right. But then, some 40 years later, Kiss got what is definitely their best movie yet. And it's a Scooby Doo film.
Indeed it is. It also happens to be one of my personal favorite Scooby Doo movies.
Same here, Kat. Now, for the artwork, I based it off the cover art of the Unmasked album. Or rather, one of the panels, since it's meant to look like a comic strip.
Yeah, I know.
But instead of Kiss unmasking themselves, it's Mystery Incorporated, posing as Kiss. Except for Fred, who remains loyal to his favorite band, the Ascot 5.
Don't touch my ascot. Don't pull my ascot. I actually saw that album last time I was at my grandma's 2 years ago. It was one of the 2 albums I saw in the store, like rather Kiss-related albums. The other one being Love Gun. The latter of the 2 was bought for me by my aunt. But the point I wanted to make with this is that I actually didn't notice this one specific detail until you sent me the image you referenced, which is the way Starchild look. Like, I looked at this image and realized Starchild specifically was actually referenced in the opening credits to the movie.
Most visual references were in the opening credits.
Yeah, I see Starchild winking and turning twice every time I see that image now. Just, yeah.
Yeah, visually, it's also an impressive film, given that it's a direct-to-DVD animated film. The animation is amazing when needed,
Yeah.
and the fact that the cosmos, monsters, villains look like they were drawn by Jack Kirby probably makes this film the best tribute to the iconic comic artist.
This movie might be also the best looking Scooby-Doo movie since the first 3 that had actual monsters. You know, Zombie Island, The Witch's Ghost, and The Alien Invaders. And maybe 1 or 2 movies that were from the What's New Scooby-Doo era. You know, the ones with Oberon and the Fair Folk, and where the spirit of a samurai were legit. And yeah, Crimson Witch wearing a color-swapped Big Barda helmet, except she also has fangs and a very questionable design that I can't honestly tell if it's a chest plate or just a really weird cape holder.
Right. Supposedly, Mystery Incorporated and Kiss were gonna have another crossover. However, the only confirmation we have is this deleted Facebook post from 2018.
Yeah, I've heard rumors that they were going to do a sequel, and the untitled sequel is still labeled as the to be announced, you know, TBA in Gene's filmography, but unlike the Scooby-Doo movies that got cancelled, thanks a lot for that, mergers, there haven't been any firm confirmation of this being one of them. Not that I'm really expecting any confirmations anyway. But yeah, like, there's like no confirmation on whether they're gonna push through with this, or they just canceled it altogether. Like, nothing. Like, no confirmation whatsoever.
But honestly, could anything really top Rock and Roll Mystery?
Well, I don't know if anything can top Rock and Roll Mystery, but if they ever do make the follow-up happen, to be honest, I do kind of hope they eventually do. I hope they make it like they did The Curse of the Speed Demon, which was a sequel to the WWE crossover Scooby-Doo had, which was awesome, by the way, and not like The Curse of the 13th Ghost or even Return to the Zombie Island. And I'm pretty sure any bigger Scooby-Doo fans know why.
Too bad the Scooby-Doo franchise is on hiatus, so to speak.
Well, with the overabundance of things in between the overabundance of superhero movies, and that recent horrible mess that's an insult to the gang, and I refuse to mention it by name, I would say they do need a bit of a break. Like, they don't deserve to be put on a hiatus per se, alongside with nearly everything else by the company. Just a genuine break, you know, just to take a rest for a while, because with the recent projects they've been in for the past 2 or 3 years, they could use it.
Right. Hoping for an eventual return to form for the franchise.
It may seem hopeless right now, given all the crazy stuff that had happened for the past few years, but hey, we've been taken by surprise in more ways than one before, haven't we, Tex?
Indeed, Kat. Indeed. Before we say goodnight and go home, I got a surprise
What is
here.
it?
Turns out, Rock and Roll Mystery Releases coincides with Eric Carr's birthday,
What? No way!
so I made something special with his artwork. I made 2 variants, one with Scooby as Catman, and another with him as the Fox.
Oh my gosh!
Yep.
That's so sweet! Sorry.
Well, that's it for today, folks. We hope you enjoyed this video.
Be sure to follow us on our other social media if you crave for more content.
Thank you, White Cat, for joining me today.
My pleasure, buddy. And thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Now, thanks for stopping by. See y'all.
See ya, folks.